is for Brooke Shields and Brooke Shields alone. So let me get this straight. When Meghan Sussex starts telling a story about how, at 11 years old, she challenged a sexist dish soap commercial, wrote letters, got media involved, and had the ad changed. A story that, by the way, has been public record for over a decade.
Katie asks the first question to Meghan and talks about how, at a young age, she was already advocating for women, etc.
And Brooke Shields interrupts. Why? Because you just had to make sure we all knew you played at 11 years old?
She writes to the company, they changed the text, they changed the commercial. And I go, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Guys, just interrupt you there for 1 minute. I was trying not to be rude, but I wanted to be funny because it was so serious. And I go, I just want to give everybody here a context as to how we're different. I said, well, when I was 11, I was playing a...
That's not the flex you think it is. Brooke, honey, being exploited by a grown man with a camera isn't something to throw casually into a conversation, like it's some quirky icebreaker. You were preyed on, and yet here you are, using it to undermine someone who, as a child, was already learning how to fight for others. And let's talk about this. Are you even still relevant? Or are you hoping that throwing shade at Meghan will get your name back in headlines? Because it feels like someone is trying to ride the coattails of a woman who still makes the headlines, still making impact, and still unbothered while you sit in interviews trying to land a tacky punchline. That's not levity. That's not being funny. That's you weaponizing your trauma as a punchline and using it to take up space that didn't belong to you.
And I was like, oh, I hope she doesn't think I'm rude. I'm not being rude. I was just sort of...
I think it's genius.
It was just too precious. And I was like, they're not going to want to sit here for 45 minutes and listen to anybody be precious, or serious, or...
Meghan wasn't being precious. She was being powerful. And the fact that a woman like you, whose entire career was built on being objectified, can't recognize the strength in a girl who refused to be, says everything. You weren't lifting the moment. You were lowering the bar. And the fake humility? Oh, I hope she doesn't think I'm rude. I'm just trying to be funny. That's what people say when they know they've just embarrassed themselves, but are hoping to play it off like charm. It's not charm. It's not self-awareness. It's ego. Meghan used her 11-year-old voice to take on corporate America. You were handed a role by adults who failed to protect you. And now you're projecting your unresolved shame onto a woman who earned her voice the hard way. So, no, Brooke, this wasn't your moment. You didn't add context. You didn't balance the room. You just reminded us that even now, decades later, you're still most comfortable being the center of attention, even when the story was never about you to begin with.
Hey C News family, welcome back yet again as we unravel this interesting topic together. I'll be your host for the day, Famish. I'm always loving it how the notorious JTV always slams and blasts those trolls. Listening to the video, I was all smiles. So, buckle up. Alright, let's unpack this drama because Brooke Shields tried it, and the internet brought receipts hotter than a summer barbecue. It's June 2025 and Brooke hops on India Hicks' podcast, An Unexpected Journey. Yep, King Charles's goddaughter because royal connections stay lurking. She's spilling tea about a March 2024 SW panel with Meghan Markle, Katie Couric and others called Breaking Barriers, Shaping Narratives, How Women Lead. Empowering vibes, right? Not so fast. At SXSW, Meghan's doing her thing, sharing her iconic story. At 11, she wrote to Procter & Gamble to call out their sexist ivory dish soap ad. Women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans. Little Meghan said, hold up, men wash dishes too. P&G changed the slogan to people all over America. A kid taking on a corporate giant? That's a flex. But Brooke Shields thought it was too precious and too serious for a women's empowerment panel. Like, what? You want comedy at a gender equality talk? Here's where Brooke fumbles. She interrupts Meghan mid-story. Excuse me, I've got to jump in. When I was 11, I was playing a prostitute. She's referencing her role in Pretty Baby 1978 where she was sexualized as a child. She thought this was a mic drop to lighten the mood. Nah, it landed like a brick. Comparing Meghan's fight against sexism to Brooke's childhood exploitation isn't cute. It's trauma, not a clapback. The audience laughed, but it was awkward, not iconic. Okay, fast forward to the podcast. So, Brooke doubles down, calling Meghan's story too precious and saying the audience didn't want 45 minutes of seriousness. First of all, the panel wasn't even that long. And seriously, Who made Brooke the vibe police at a women's event? Calling a black woman's advocacy precious while centering her own story just reeks of dismissal, especially on a podcast with a royal insider like India Hicks, who's super tight with the monarchy that's, let's be real, no fan of Meghan. So, ex-users like Jessica Green totally called it out, saying, "This is racism, it's minimizing a black woman's experience." The shade was honestly so loud, but then the plot totally twists. The podcast episode Brooke Shields is 60 and Sexy goes viral in early June 2025. Clips start spreading, people drag Brooke for her mean girl energy, and suddenly, poof, the episode just disappears. If you try to find the links on India Hicks's Substack, all you get is, page not found. No explanation, just scrubbed. But the internet? Undefeated as always. Screenshots, clips and quotes are everywhere. And the notorious JTB on TikTok said it best. Talk slick, stand on it. Deleting the episode just screams damage control, but let's be real, you can't outrun accountability. Why does this matter? Well, Meghan's P&G story, verified by P&G themselves, is actually a cornerstone of her feminist journey. She told it on Nick News in 1993, at the UN in 2015, and honestly everywhere in between. It's proof of her lifelong advocacy. Meanwhile, Brooke's joke about playing a prostitute at 11 just highlights Hollywood's exploitation, not some kind of win. As one ex-user noted, Meghan would have written a letter to the studio for Brooke if she knew. And yeah, that's the tea. And the royal angle? India Hicks' ties to King Charles's circle add a whole other layer. Meghan's been a target of royal loyalists since she left the monarchy, and Brooke's shade just fits that pattern. The takeaway? Brooke tried to humble Meghan and ended up exposing her own lack of self-awareness. Calling a woman's fight against sexism too precious at a women's panel is a choice, a really bad one. The internet's got the receipts and honestly, they're not letting it slide. Follow for more takedowns because when it comes to accountability, the internet always delivers.
After Meghan's self-gratifying story stating that at 11 she was cast as a prostitute.
Yeah, this is where we're this is one of the ways where we're different. When I was 11, I was playing a prostitute. So
okay, bro.
I wished I'd known where we're going.
The contradiction between the two as 11-year-olds is so blatant that it's hilarious. You have one perfect little clever feminist activist 11-year-old and the other fueling the darker side of Hollywood. But more revealing is the contradiction between the two women as adults. Brooke is regretful and feels that she was part of the problem of over-sexualizing kids. And now she wants to make that wrong right. Meghan was already right about everything when she was 11. Where is Meghan's PR team on this one? There is nothing relatable about always being perfect. Meghan then, in an uppity, pompous way, laughs awkwardly at the prostitute thing and then states the obvious.
When I was 11,
different.
I would have been writing very different letters, but equally important, I hope.
Wow. 11-year-old Brooke and 11-year-old Meghan, this one's for you.
That's different. Well, of course it's different. That's why she said it. That's why it's so funny. The two women are both so very, very different. Brooke and